Ready, fire, aim.
Yeah, ready, fire, aim, man.
Which that's the
Yeah.
new age.
Yep.
Like in order to keep up in this rapidly expanding social media world, you have to just go. You
Yeah.
got to document the process, and you got to just go on a whim, right?
Yep.
Because if not, you're gonna miss the spicy moments. You're gonna miss those opportunities, right, where you can capture and document pieces of the process, right, that can be repurposed and delivered to your community. It's super important to be aware of all these crazy things going on in the changing world economy. And now is the time, more than any other point in history, that it's important to come together and have a community. And this has been a conviction that's been on my heart since the market started shifting, right? And these changing economic conditions. And if we're being honest, the entire system is getting flipped up on its back. Coming out of the industrial age, right, where we traded time for money, and the public education system that's taught us that, right, so it's been ingrained into our heads. Well, guess what? That entire model is dead. And so I want to just open up the conversation today and talk about where we see the market going and how to stay ahead of this massive shift. So we got Andy on board today. Andy, over the past 12 months, has been our videographer. Documenting the process, right? Putting together the master plan and the vision. But it's been a tremendous journey, man.
It's been a fun journey, man. I've had a blast.
Yeah, it has. Just looking back and reflecting on the past 12 months.
Yeah.
So depending when you're watching this, right, we're a couple days before the new year, right? Shifting our calendars from 2022 over to 23. And we've really just been intentionally planning out the year, figuring out what are the most important pieces that we want to bring people into the fold with. How can we add more value and help empower more people in the ecosystem? But it's been a good time, man, really just to reflect on the past 12 months. We can celebrate the victories. We can figure out where the biggest gaps were inside of our business and tighten up the machine so that we can refine our process and bring more value to the people inside of our community.
I agree.
Let's talk about your journey, bro. Like, let's talk. Me and Andy met literally about a year ago, just over a year ago.
Yeah, and I tell you, I really truly believe God's timing, man. Everyone probably remembers everyone had to get the shots. I have a background as a government employee, a firefighter. I was a firefighter for I don't know, like 15 years or so. Prior military, and then obviously same job, just different uniform. But then, after 2020, we started getting like more draconian. As soon as Biden took office, you just started getting more and more, what's the right word, draconian type of laws, and almost like a more of a dictatorship. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
you'll get the jab or you're fired, basically, right? You lose your job. And I've been in the government long enough just not to trust them. I mean, I think that's a simple rule to probably live by in life. You can just study any history, and I think you'll find out. The biggest tyrannies on the people usually come from the government. It's not free enterprise doesn't really, enslave people. It's usually the government that does that, or the government working with big business and industry that does that. So long story short, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have to be forced into that, but I got kids, I have a wife that I have to financially support. And right around that time, through a friend of a friend to my brother, you need a camera, dude. I'm like, well, I went to film school. I do a little freelance on the side. I want to do documentary films, which I have my documentary films getting edited right now. Quick little plug in for that.
Yeah.
Infamous Characters, Notorious Villains. Hopefully it'll be released towards the end of this year.
Love it.
But our editor is working on that right now. But, I ran into you, and then we worked out a financial plan. And I was like, man, I could probably walk away from the fire department and do this full time. And boom, I didn't have to get the COVID shot. My heart's strong as can be. I'm not worried about heart attacks or anything like that right now. I don't know if you can say that yet, if it'll get censored. After all the Twitter files though, and the Twitter COVID files, it's coming out. They blocked a lot of that intel and information on some things. Those the adverse reactions to the shots. So fast forward to now. I think it took us like 3 months to really dial it in, man. Again, my speed's more documentary film, more scripted, more sequenced. Ben, you're just kind of boom,
ready, fire, aim.
Yeah, ready, fire, aim, man.
Which that's the new
Yeah.
the new age.
Yep.
Like, in order to keep up in this rapidly expanding social media world, you have to just go.
Yeah.
You got to document the process, and you got to just go on a whim, right?
Yep.
Because if not, you're going to miss the spicy moments. You're going to miss those opportunities, right, where you can capture and document pieces of the process, right, that can be repurposed and delivered to your community.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. And I'm still learning, man. I'm still catching up. I think younger people get it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
That type of style of filming. But fast forward to today. Actually, we'll go back to 2006. I read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is funny, being around Ben and meeting a lot of entrepreneurs and real estate investors. What's the first book like that just really caught him, right?
That's
really
it.
got him. Rich Dad Poor Dad.
If I didn't read that book, I would have never ventured into real estate.
Right?
That was the pivotal moment in my journey. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the trajectory of my life has never been the same. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew that real estate was the vehicle, and I was going to do whatever it took to figure out how to get in the game.
See, I didn't know that. Now I read it, and then I read Cash Flow Quadrant right afterwards, which is, if you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, read Cash Flow Quadrant. That's book number 2. So my grand idea was, all right, well, yeah, you know what? I'm going to build a big business. I wanted to do it in film, have my own film production company, which is still in the works. But 2020, man, kind of took the wind out of my sails on that. I mean, we were winning film festivals. We were doing really well. We were getting traction, and then they shut down all the theaters, and it's like nobody really wanted to. It was a poor investment at that time to invest any money in any film, right? Because you were not going to see returns till the government opened back up or theaters opened back up, which took a while. But my goal was, man, I was going to build a multi-million-dollar business, and then I was going to take my money and put it in real estate for tax advantages, right? Everyone gets all upset, Donald Trump didn't pay any taxes. Well, dude, anybody can do that. It's the tax code.
Yep.
You can't get mad at somebody utilizing the tax code that our government and our congressmen and women put together, right? Get mad at them. Start marching outside of their houses and yelling at them, I guess, or do whatever it is you do. Or you could actually learn to utilize those tax advantages for yourself, for your own family. And that's where, what was about last month I got my first real estate deal. Working with you. I'd been filming Ben for over a year, and then it finally hit me. I'm like, dude, what am I doing? It's like, I've been learning this stuff while just filming you. And I was like, man, you know what? Man, let me throw my hat in the ring. You know what I mean? Let me try this out. And that's what I love with Investor Syndicate and, the CRM and just everything in place. I am definitely way more fortunate than your average person starting out because, like, the system's already in place, and I just got to plug into the system.
Yeah.
And got my first deal, like, with first 3 weeks, roughly.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Right? It is.
It's a testimonial for in the house, right? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
yep.
it took a while to learn, right?
It took...
kind of in the background, you were paying attention, documenting the process, and then just the aha moment, like, I need to get in the game.
Yeah, yep. And listen, I believe in positive thinking and affirmations. So when I say this, it's not that I'm negative, but I'm not the sharpest or smartest dude out there, man. The reason I got fire department when I was when I joined the military, because when I took the ASVAB, I scored so low. I only had 2 jobs, and the other job sounded horrible. So I was like, I'll take fire department. But my IQ is high enough to where I can learn, but it's also low enough where it's going to take me some while. But as soon as I figure it out, I got it. But that's why I love. So just to go even further on a true testament, man, if I can do it, just an old, government firefighter, cameraman. I mean, anybody can do it. But it's important to plug into a system,
Yeah. We need it, right? And I've been, now more than ever, right? I've been pounding on this principle, but now more than ever, especially in a changing economic condition, it's so important to have community, right? It's so important to surround yourself with other people who are in the game, achieving the results that you want to achieve, right?
Yep.
There's already a blueprint. There's already a roadmap in place, but you just got to find that right ecosystem. You got to find the right people to teach you the rules, teach you the game, and help you get in there, start producing.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of people don't realize, but, the industrial age is dead. We're no longer in the industrial age. So the ideology, however you want to say it, of go to school, get good grades, get yourself a nice, safe, secure job, it's obsolete. And I've been saying this for the last decade, because if you start, studying Robert Kiyosaki or anybody in that, Mike Maloney, Jim Rickards, anybody in that field, any cyclical historian, cyclical economist, I think you'll come to find out, one, the dollar is dying. It's already dead. The banking system's collapsing. We have a global liquidity crisis, and no one's going to talk about it. They're going to talk about everything else, in the news, except for that. But you can't see it. It's invisible. But when it happens, it's going to happen overnight.
Well, it's already happening.
It's already happening, but people don't really. I don't think they really realize how bad it's going to get.
Yeah.
But I say that not for doom and gloom, but you got to realize, when the Great Depression happened, everyone wants to talk about all the people that committed suicide. And that's, those stories are actually, it's not as major as people make it sound out to be. I think, it's the news always wants to, people are more drawn to negativity than positivity. I think it's just an easier thing to sell. So that's what they go after. But a lot of people became new multimillionaires during the Great Depression because there was opportunity abundant. When there's more problems than ever before, that means they need more solutions.
That's right.
If you can get with a team of people, you don't want to do it solo. That's the thing. You want to be with a team, a support group, if you will. Personally, a team of entrepreneurs, and that's what Investor Syndicate is, a team of entrepreneurs and investors. But if you can align yourself and join a team with a system already in place, you can take advantage of one of the largest wealth transfers. One of the largest wealth transfers in the history of human civilization, and it's happening right now. 2023 is going to be a huge year. It's probably going to be a recession, possibly a depression, depending on, our government's changing definitions and saying things. But the thing is, everyone's like, oh, everything's good now. Well, a carton of eggs is like $9, man. That's unheard of. That's not good to me, okay? I got to eat, man. I got kids to feed.
What is that, like 10 times more expensive than it normally is?
I don't know. I used to get eggs at Aldi's for like 88 cents for 12.
Yeah.
And now it's like $4. So do the math on that. And Aldi's, shout out to Aldi's, probably the cheapest place you can get eggs right now in South Carolina where we are.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's nuts. And that's not it. You talk pork, beef, regular basic commodities that they take out of the core CPI, to fudge the numbers, the good government accounting. But you're going to want to turn off the news, stop listening to political pundits, and get with a team of people that are actually moving and making money and bringing things in. The best thing anybody could do in this current situation is not whine and cry about the bad orange man, like that, because that's not going to give you anything in life, except for a weird complex later, probably. when all the truth comes out, you're just going to probably be quiet for a couple years. Or in a concentration camp somewhere if things get super bad. But I would align yourself with a positive group of people that are going places, that have a vision for the future. Stop whining, complaining. Stop, being a keypad warrior on Facebook, and start reading. Start studying, start learning. You know, if investor syndicates for it, if it's for you, give it a try. Try it out. If it's not for you, find another group. Find some team of positive people, of entrepreneurs, of people that are heading somewhere, right? Because I'm telling you, when everything collapses, you're going to want to be on that team that's rebuilding and that's building it up. And I know that's where we're heading, you know?
And just the barrier to entry, right? Like knowing that you don't need a crap ton of money.
No.
You don't need a amazing, perfect credit to
It's
get
not like
started
buying a
in the
McDonald's.
game.
It's not going
And
to
now
cost
in the
you.
market shift, like we went from abundance of money, right? Government printing money like it's going out of style, to the way that I picture it is like, now that the market has shifted, the Fed's tightening up the rates. It's like a suction cup pulling the liquidity out of the market.
Yep.
Right? So what happens when there's less money and liquidity? Lots of people in distressed situations that they need help with, right?
Yep.
A lot of people that are going to be unable to pay their bills, that are upside down on mortgages or whatever the case might be, and they just need out and they need cash quick, right?
Yep.
This is the perfect opportunity for real estate investors, experienced and beginners, right, to get in the game and put together win-win situations for sellers, right? So creative financing in a market shift, right, where the market is tightening up, creative financing is the play. Like you can literally step into a property or building a rental portfolio properties for little to no money down. Seller finance opportunities, right? We can literally pay a seller whatever they want for the property, as long as we can stretch it out long enough and meet them on terms.
Yep.
And it's really that easy, right? It's knowing the formula, knowing the equation, and it's plugging it in, right? It's finding the people that need our help, and it's creating win-win solutions for them.
Yes. Yep. And, you know, quick story, and hope my mom's watching this. I apologize. But, you know, my mom lost her house through a bankruptcy years and years ago. Gosh, I think I just went off to the military, so probably 20 years ago now. And, you know, I didn't know people like this existed. You know, I didn't know there were real estate investors that could help in a situation like that. So instead, what she got, the bank got the home, which is a good deal for the bank, right? And my mom got 7 years of bad credit. You know, she had to work diligently to get, you know, back on her feet. You know, she's a single mom, 3 kids. We were all just gotten out of the house. But if somebody would have called her on the phone and said, hey, like, how much you owe? Like, what? Like, let's create a win-win here. She would have got something out of the deal.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have had to go through 7 years of bad credit, you know? So, to me, like, I get it. I know some people are like, oh, you're ripping people off. It's like, dude, you know, the only people saying that are people that have never struggled financially. You know, they probably grew up upper middle class. You know what? People like that, they don't know. They don't know. You know, their parents probably paid for their college. Nothing's wrong with that, by the way. I'm not knocking you, but, you know, don't knock people that are actually helping people if you don't know what you're talking about. So I've seen it firsthand because I know what my mom had to go through. So I don't have a problem getting on the phone, finding people and saying, hey, like, what's it going to take to help you out of this situation? But again, you know, I got kids that got to eat too, you know, so it's got to be a win-win.
Yeah. Or
it can't be a deal. And if it's not, that's fine. Yeah.
Yep. The best businesses simply identify problems or gaps in the marketplace, and they create solutions.
Yeah.
In its simplest form, that's it.
Yep.
There's no reason to overcomplicate the process. Find problems and figure out how to solve them.
Yep.
And the more people that you can help solve their problems, the more opportunity it creates inside of your life. It's simple.
Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of problems over the next 14 months. Economic problems, layoffs, and I see Investor Syndicate as a vehicle for all that. One, you can start as a business owner yourself. You can start the process, right?
Yeah.
With a team, you be someone like myself, get your first deal in your first 3 weeks. Now, granted, I've been filming Ben for over the last so this stuff's been like just sinking in over the last year. Even though I'm mostly paying attention to the equipment and everything, not necessarily what you're saying, but you know, I'm spending hours editing a video, it gets in there, you know, subconsciously.
Yeah.
So, But I still think anybody could hop in the system and have their first deal within their first 2 months.
100%.
I think that's
Yeah.
And you know better than I, but I think that's a reasonable.
I mean, it's a tool. The infrastructure is there on the back end, right? Got the system, got the CRM, the training. All you got to do is learn how to plug into a pre-existing system and do the work. You just got to show up, right? Watch the videos, learn the game, take the paperwork or the contracts, and go out there and find people that need your help.
Yep.
Right? I think of it like a business in a box.
It is. And the CRM, Market Pro, is a beast. It is a beast. So,
it is a beast.
It is.
Yep. So big things coming, man. Let's talk about our plans and preparation for 2023, because there's a lot of moving pieces, right? And I think the biggest thing for me is finding the right people to put into the right seats, because there is moving parts, right?
Yep.
And making sure that we can have a well-oiled machine, right, that turning and burning. If we have gaps in that process, it's not going to run smoothly. So the biggest goal for us is to grow this community, right? To bring more people in the fold, high caliber individuals that are serious about changing their life, right? We don't want the whiners and the complainers and people that want you to hold their hand and carry them through it and do the work for them. There's no space for that.
No.
There's no space for that inside of our community.
No.
Right? But we want people that they're willing to put their feet down and claim the potential in the life that they deserve, right?
Yep.
They're going to
motivated and positive people.
Yep. And so again, it's not for everybody, right? We protect this space like nothing else.
Yeah.
Because we got no space for the whiny bees of the world.
No thanks. You probably just canceled your Twitter account and you're looking for somewhere else to rage. Not here. You get kicked out. So
yeah. Let's take a look at the board, man.
Yeah.
We've been game planning all day and figuring out where we're going. Let's look a little bit behind the scenes where people can see some game plans that we're rolling out and figure out how we're going to deliver the value. Okay, so big picture, guys. We're starting at the top. We want to start with the big, audacious goals. Real estate is number one. That's the number one focus. But we know that we have a revolving ecosystem where we got the system in place on the real estate side. Lead generation. We're planning out and setting bullet points for the different things that we want to accomplish inside of the real estate space, and then documenting that and putting it down in a very clear blueprint so that we can deliver that value to our people, right? Literally, we're taking the entire system and process, packaging it up, and creating a how-to guide, a how-to blueprint to bring into the Investor Syndicate network. That's the main goal. Our goal is to empower more people, to make more millionaires, and help more people gain financial freedom through our process than ever before, right? 100 millionaires over the next 2 years. That's our goal. We want to help more people get in the game and play at a very high level. So this is big picture, right? And we've really just scattered it on the board. And my goal over the next 12 weeks, because when we're really being intentional, I don't plan 12 months. There's a really good book that you need to open up called The 12-Week Year. And it claims that with the right intention, you can accomplish more in 12 weeks than most people accomplish in an entire 12 months, right? So we're really putting the pen to paper. We're setting our vision, making it very clear. And then from there, I can break it down into bite-sized chunks so that we have an actionable game plan to follow, right? You can't eat the whole elephant at once, right? But we're breaking down the chunks. And then from there, we're identifying what is the number one most important task that I need to complete today or this week to push the needle forward. We're not doing everything at once because that'll get analysis paralysis and will accomplish absolutely nothing. But we want to identify what is the number one most important task that I need to complete today. And we're simply going down the list, right? So this is big vision Big vision gets compressed into those bite-sized chunks. That's how we eat the elephant, right? Now, inside of our training system and community, we break this down in its simplest form, giving our members and people inside of our community clarity on what they need to launch and scale their business from the ground up.